Today I'm going to talk to you about having multiple creative projects going at once. Now, whether it's a good idea to have multiple creative projects that you're working on at one time or not really depends on you. It depends on each person and how much they can dedicate to each project. But what I want to say to you, if you have multiple writing projects going on at one time, is that you want to do so in a structured and planned way. So let's talk about that today.
You have a story to tell, but you don't know where to start. Let me show you how to free your story. I teach you how to write and how to dig deep in your soul to release your story and make a difference in the world.
Welcome to the Julia Amante channel. If we're just meeting, I am Julia Amante. I'm a women's fiction author and also here to give you some writing tips on Friday to hopefully help you with your writing projects. Okay, so let me tell you about myself. I've always been loyal to one project at a time. I like to write one novel, really focus on that novel, and then move on to the next. But lately I've changed not that part of it. So I'm still writing one novel at a time, but I have other creative projects going at once. I have my blogs that I write. I have my videos that I create. And so what my first suggestion is that if you are going to juggle all these multiple creative projects, what you should do is vary the type of project that you're working on. So for example, my novels call for a lot of imagination, a lot of creativity. So that's one thing that I can focus on, and I can focus all my creativity on that. Not that my blogs or videos or other creative projects that I have don't also call for some imagination, but it's not quite the same thing. So my blogs are focusing on helping writers write. So it's more nonfiction. It's definitely all nonfiction. And my videos as well, right, are here for you to give you some writing tips, but they call for me to work a different part of my brain. I'm not sitting here thinking of a story. I've already outlined what I want to say, and it does, and that does call for creativity. However, what I'm really doing is something different, right? I'm focusing on speaking. I'm focusing on beyond the technical aspect of being able to connect with a camera and do all the other things that need to be done for a YouTube video. So it's a different type of creativity. So although I am doing multiple projects at one time, they're all slightly different so that I can change my focus a little bit. And what I suggest that you do, if you can, is to choose a day. So if there's one day that you are working on a certain creative project, work on that project and don't worry about the other ones. And then juggle it that way. On Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to work on my novel. On Tuesday, Thursday, I'm going to work on whatever other project you might have. And weekends, I'm going to work on a different project, so that your mind has that chance to adjust to the new project and you can give your full attention to it rather than thinking about switching within the same day. So let's say that you are a novelist. You don't have other creative projects. You just have different stories that you're working on. Now, personally, I would not want to juggle, let's say, 3 storylines at one time. But I know that writers do and can do that. And if you are one of them, that's fantastic. But what I do want to recommend is that you have your projects at different stages of development. So, you don't want to, I don't want to, and I don't think other people want to either, be plotting 3 different stories at once. It's just a confusing mess. You have all these different characters, you have these storylines. However, you could be plotting a new story while you are editing a second story and while you are maybe marketing a third story, so that each story is in its own stage of development, right? It is really different if you are plotting or you're editing or you're actually promoting a book. So have your projects in different stages of development, and that makes it easier to be able to work on 3 different books at the same time, for example. The third thing is to make sure that you are organized and that you have a schedule. I talk about schedules all the time, and so you do want to have a schedule. You want to have your planner where you are scheduling your writing time, and you want to schedule all your creative projects so that you know when you're doing what. So for example, my blogging schedule is I try to fit it. I try to be consistent, but I'm also trying to fit in my novel writing and my work schedule and other things. So what I do is every other day I write a blog. So I will actually write a blog Sunday night, edit it, and post it on Monday. Then Tuesday, I'll write another one. And again, so what I'm doing is I'm creating my rough draft. The next day, I get up, I rewrite it, I edit it, I read it, I add more things to it, and then I post it that day. So that every other day, I am writing a new blog, and then every other day I'm posting that blog, editing it, and posting it. So that helps me to stay on a schedule, and it's very organized. Now, on the days that I am just kind of editing and posting the blog, I'm not creating something new. So those are really great days for me to work on a novel where I am being creative and writing new scenes and all of that. So that I'm balancing it out a little bit. So yes, I'm working on both of those things on the same day, you could say. But I'm editing one, I'm creating and writing the other one. Okay, so it is juggling a little bit of two things. And then when I'm doing a video is so different. I try to do them maybe on a weekend, but if I have to do it during a weekday, then again, I could fit it in because it is a little different from the actual writing. So figure out a schedule, put it into your planner, and then stick to that so that you can get all of your different projects done the way you want to. Okay, the other thing you need to take into consideration is your time, how much time you have to dedicate to these projects, and the rest of your life, right? What else are you doing? Are you a parent or do you have a full-time job? So looking at the rest of your life and how much time you have will help you to know if you can do all the multiple projects that you want to get done. So there may be a time where you want to put one of those creative projects aside. So don't feel bad about saying, okay, right now I can't do 5 different creative projects at once. I can't juggle all 5 of them. I need to put 2 of them aside because I have something in my personal life that I need to address, I need to take care of. So, or, work gets maybe a little harder, a little bit more intense. So for me, since I teach college, there are times in the semester where my time is needed more at the college. So I have more papers, I have final exams to grade, I have, there are certain periods where it's just more intense. So during those periods, I know that I have to, I have to back off on some of my projects. Typically, it just depends on where I'm at. If I'm writing a novel, then I probably don't want to get away from it and I want to keep writing, so I stay with that story. But if I'm editing, maybe I can edit a little less, or I can just go a little slower while I'm doing that. If I'm promoting, same thing. Maybe I just don't do any promotion one week, which is horrible because you're always wanting to do some promotion. But when it gets heavy, when your other life gets heavy, then you stay away. I stay away from social media. I do other things so that I can fit in the other things that I have to get done. And I think, your peace of mind and your sanity is worth just slowing down and not working so many projects at once if you need to pause a little bit. And the other thing I think that determines whether you can handle multiple projects is really just you and your personality. Not all writers can do that or want to do that. So don't feel like if somebody else is really good at that, somebody else writes 5 books a year, somebody else is able to juggle multiple projects, that you have to do the same thing. You really don't. You can feel good writing one book at a time. And again, that's what I do for sure. I only write one book at the time. There does come a time sometimes where I have to promote one book while I'm writing the next book. And that like I said, that's completely different. But typically I focus on one book and I write that book, and then I make sure that I'm rewriting and editing that book. And then after that, it falls into promotion, and I don't really start another one right away until I've already got some of that promotion work done, and I really feel like that book is finished. And yeah, that you're always promoting as an author, you're always talking about your previous books, but it's very intense when the book is first released. And then it eases off a little bit so you can go on to something else. So don't feel bad if you can't juggle too many things at once. So it really does depend on your personality, how much you can handle, and how much you have, other things to deal with in your life. So my tip to you, if you need to juggle multiple projects, is to, again, schedule them. Make sure that you can do them all. Also, look at your day in your life and see how you can fit all those projects into your life. And if you can't, maybe cut back on some of those. It really does help not to have your energies fragmented into a bunch of different areas if possible, because what's going to happen is that you're not going to do any of them very well. So if you can handle and you can fit them into your schedule, that's fantastic. But if not, then ease up on them and just try to do one or two at a time, and then slowly bring back other ones as you're handling the ones that you have well. Hopefully this was helpful to you today, or at least gave you something to think about with having multiple creative projects. Hopefully you don't feel like you have to have them. And if you do have a lot of projects that you're trying to get done at one time, that I've encouraged you to schedule those, try to fit them into your schedule, and then if you can't, ease up on them a little bit so that you will do well with the projects that you do have, and then bring in the other ones as time permits. So if this was helpful to you, please like and share this video, and come back next Friday for another tip. And I look forward to seeing all of you then.